Hello and welcome back to KeeleCast, the show where students talk to students and find out how we make a difference to life at Keele University. As always, I'm Carmel, and today for our final episode of the year, I'm learning about the truth of the abandonment of Horwood Hall's O Block. Jo is with us in the studio today, and she is our honorary Horwood historian. It's great to have you with me.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much. I've loved listening to the podcast so far.
It is a pleasure. So first of all, let's hear about yourself. Who are you?
Well, my name's Jo. I'm a third-year English literature and creative writing student. And I suppose for the topic of this podcast, I'm a student that has a big interest in Horwood Tower as a building and like part of the campus. It's a big interest to me.
Completely understandable. That building is full of mystery, as we all know. And Horwood Hall, of course, is one of our 4 accommodation blocks on campus. But tell me about Horwood O. What's so special about it?
Well, what makes it special, in my opinion, is that there's no buildings in the area that are like it, or even on campus that are like it. Its size and the fact that it's been abandoned for so long with nothing happening to it. Like the Barnes blocks A to F were closed for a while, but even they got reopened, whereas Horwood O just has been left standing there for quite a good amount of time. And it's so visually striking. Yeah, I don't think it's mentioned by many people, except for, obviously, in certain circumstances.
That is true. People tend to just walk past it. I mean, it is just a huge tower block in the middle of Horwood, which is, it doesn't even have a roof, which is certainly something.
A part of it, it was originally called Horwood Tower for that reason. The size of it meant that it really stood out, and so it was referred to as Horwood Tower and then Horwood O Block after that.
Interesting. You've clearly spent a lot of time thinking about this, and full props to you. But when did this interest first start?
Well, it started earlier in my third year. I was looking for things around campus. It was for one of my modules, actually, Writingscapes.
Ooh, Writingscapes mentioned.
Yeah. And I was walking around campus trying to find something to write about, trying to find something interesting. And I walked around without my headphones on at night, which I don't usually do. But because I did, I found myself focusing more on the details of the campus. And I spotted Horwood O, which immediately struck my interest because despite having been here for like 3 years, I don't think I'd ever seen it properly. And then I saw one of the lights that from the surrounding buildings reflect off of the window. And that just really interested me because it looked both alive and not, which that's what interests me most about this block, I think, is that it's just left there.
Interesting. I mean, it's definitely left in some state of disrepair. I mean, I know sometimes when you look at it, you can kind of see curtains and things in there.
Yeah, there's a strange amount left in there, and also a strange, like the things that aren't left there are also striking to me. You can see through some of the windows that mirrors have been left there, and in some of them, wardrobes that are able to be seen as like decaying. But then stuff like desks have been completely gotten rid of. And on the 4th floor, there seems to be something being stored in there, but you don't see that in any of the other windows. So it's strange that there's anything in there at all.
Exactly. I mean, it's strange that they would store anything in that building because it's been blocked off forever. There's like MDF board blocking all the windows and doors.
Yeah, all of the windows and doors were blocked off around, well, I'll get into later the actual details of that.
Fair enough.
it has been blocked off for quite a while, and yet there's still some stuff left there, which probably hasn't been touched since it was closed.
Honestly. And did you write anything about this?
Yeah, I wrote a couple. It's inspired at least one poem of mine, and then it's made its way into a couple other poems as well. I write a lot about abandoned things and things that have both life and don't. And so Horwood O has made a mention in a couple of those, both for my own personal projects and for other creative writing modules.
Incredible. Well, I do hope to hear them sometime. This research then, did that stem from there or was that a later thing?
The research from it then came from the fact that I realised I didn't know much about it. That despite seeing such a big thing there wasn't much actually online or talking about it properly. And I wanted to find out when it was shut. And that led me down the rabbit hole of finding out everything about it that I could, because it was, as I said before, so striking, stuck in my memory. And when something sticks like that, at least to me, it's hard to not want to research more.
Understandable, completely. And we will get into that, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. But before we do, I think I have to bring this up. How do you feel about the rumours on campus?
Yeah, it's a difficult topic for me. On one hand, the rumours have been around for years. I've, in my research, found information about it from gone 20 years ago about it being the suicide block.
Yeah, I think that's the one we're all familiar with.
Yeah. But there's also other rumours that has been spread around about it having a fire that started in it, which actually stems from the fact that it was used for fire testing at some point.
I see.
But, and there's rumours about why it shut because of the suicides or because of it being difficult to work with. The actual reason is, again, something I'll get into.
We're going to find that out.
But the rumours are bound to happen. They will happen year from year. But they do bother me because for a building that I have such an aesthetic interest in and I guess research interest in, it's hard to find anything but that. I've alluded to a couple times there's not a lot of information on it. But when there is information, it's usually just, oh, have you seen the suicide tower?
Fabulous. They're just clogging up your research there.
Exactly.
Wow, great. Love the creativity with everyone. But we're going to find out why that's not true. Right. So tell me, how far does your research go back? What was Horwood like in the early days?
Well, Horwood itself as an area, it started off as just conversions of male-only army huts that existed post-World War II. And then from there, it developed into more permanent buildings that came about in 1958. And Horwood O was built alongside that. And from there, it also became less male-only, and it became more just general university accommodation, named after, I believe, it was one of the people that tried to buy the land from the original owner of Keele.
Were they successful at buying it?
I don't think they were.
So they just named it after some guy. Okay.
Basically. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but
I think that's the funnier version.
Yeah, that is the better version for me. And then that's the main grounding that I gave myself before I actually started looking into just Horwood O specifically. For example, you mentioned the lack of roof earlier, and there's actually a good reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
When it was built, it was supposed to have 8 floors.
I see.
And so as they built it and did the planning permission for it, they planned it to have those 8 floors. But as construction started, lift regulation changed. There was a 1957 lift regulation thing for accessibility. And with that, it meant the buildings of a certain height required a lift that covered all floors.
I see.
And they did not have a lift in the planning. And so what they did to get around that is they built to 6 floors and left it unfinished, which means that the roof is slightly accessible and actually entirely open.
And they still used it after that?
Yeah, the roof wasn't properly accessible by students. It was like most
I'd hope not.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the trouble with the suicide block rumour.
Yeah.
Is students could not get up there. It's like any other building having roof access, except they never closed it off at the top.
That's true. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that there are balconies on that building.
There are balconies on that building, but from what I have been able to see, there hasn't been any actual reports of anything happening there. And any reports that did happen or rumours that happened about it ended up being just rumours.
Fair enough. People have great imaginations. I love that for them.
They do. They very much do. But there are... In the history of Horwood specifically, I found not stories of the upset or like struggles that you may expect from the rumours around it. I actually found stories of joy. For example, one from 1985 that Keele posted on their own website. And it's a rather fun story of someone throwing a paper aeroplane out of their window on the 6th floor and it flying back into the building on the 3rd floor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because the interesting thing about those windows is that they could open, the windows of the building could open really wide. So it meant that you could throw something out of one and then it went through a window that was only open a tiny bit.
That's so interesting. I mean, anyone who lives on campus knows that those windows don't open whatsoever. Well, they do. They're just like a tiny bit. And we are currently recording this at the end of April. It's starting to get really warm. It's not pleasant. So I think anyone would give a little bit for a wider window. But
the wider windows, at least in my understanding of it, are they're an issue, but also a kind of good thing. They can open wide, which is a great thing. But they also... The other issue with them is that the bedroom windows were floor to ceiling.
Yes, the floor plan. That was really weird.
Yeah, the floor plan itself has like been a struggle for me. But what I know about the bedrooms themselves is that those windows had curtains, yes, but if they were open, you could see in the entire place. Helpful for me as a researcher post after the fact, but for someone living there.
I mean, it backs onto the SU, so...
Yeah, exactly.
It backs onto Students' Union, and if you're walking that way after a certain time, you can hear the sounds of general student life and partying and fun.
Yeah. I walk around the campus at night a lot, and when the SU is open and I'm stood by Horwood O, you hear everything.
Yeah. That is... Yeah, I can only imagine. But yes, no, if you've spent any time around Horwood O looking around it, you will figure out that floor plan does not quite add up. And perhaps it is due to these massive, very strangely designed bedrooms. But anyway, is that everything for Horwood's early history?
That's all of the history beyond the actual... Yeah, from there it just lived as an accommodation block from what I can find.
All right, fair enough. Then... early history has to end. Well, how did it close?
Well,
if it wasn't the lift.
It definitely wasn't the lift, but the closure is my current area of research. I've put a lot of effort into it. Every time I think I found the true reason or timing of it, more information comes out, I find another thing, I put in more research, and it kind of changes. I thought originally it was the lift regulation, but the lift regulation ended up being taken away because that was just for the construction. I looked into the suicide block rumours and found that there were no reports of that. And for something that's that big of an issue, the university would have been forced to talk about it. And there is nothing in any of their documents about it. The current theory that I have with the information I'm working on is that around... the earliest that it could have closed was around 2009, but I dispute that. I disputed that number for a bit because in 2011, I found a post on the student room about someone asking who was living in Horwood O.
I see.
Suggesting the phrasing of it suggested to me that they were living in it and were wondering who else would be in their block. So from there, I had to move on. And the latest closure date I found was 2015, which does line up with the information that I found as if you look through some of the windows, you can see internet boxes.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
And internet boxes like that wouldn't have been installed if it was closed around 2007. There wouldn't have been as much of a need. But I need to do more looking into this specifically with... the source that I found more recently. There is a Instagram post by a user known as Keele Historian.
I see.
And they posted a couple images of Horwood O alongside their understanding of the history, which suggested that it was actually maintenance costs that caused it to close. With the size of the building, And the fact that wiring kept changing and it was poorly insulated due to when it was built, updating it to more modern standards, getting it all up to scratch would have been extremely difficult. And if we go into the accessibility side of things, they already didn't want to build a lift. And anyone that has been around the area that might have struggles with accessibility, you might notice the fact that there is only stairs up to that building.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Horwood is full of stairs.
And Horwood O specifically is not accessible unless you use the stairs, no matter what, which means that updating it to a modern standard where they could move disabled students in there, for example, would have costed far more than the university would be able to put forward.
That does, yeah.
Is the likely reason why it ended up having to close. But the actual, boards being put up, I haven't managed to find an exact date on, which drives my interest more because you would think that with the closure of such a big building, there would be a lot more interest in it.
You would imagine. So we have a rough date of around 2015, if that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're believing that it might be to do with costs.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately for everyone interested in the Horwood rumours, is perhaps less exciting than imagining a catastrophic fire that burned off the roof or some tragedy that happened a long time ago. But nonetheless, it's important to know.
Yeah, if this is the actual reason, it isn't a massively exciting thing. But I think the actual closure itself isn't the exciting thing to me. It's the building itself.
I was going to say, yeah.
The building itself, as I said before, is such a unique one. It stands there alone. It stands there as a testament to the history of Keele, which I think is rather important in a sense.
It is. And I think these parts of Keele history deserve to be examined and catalogued in some way, even if just for archive reasons. There are always people who are looking back to see what Keele was like. I was speaking to a lecturer that I have quite frequently, and she was saying about how even this podcast could be really useful for people decades from now trying to find out what Keele was like in 2026. So having you here on this podcast and being able to discuss this now while the building's still standing and while we have this research on hand is really, really helpful. And I think it's quite important to do.
That's why I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk about it. I should have mentioned it around the rumours themselves, but that is sort of my biggest issue with those rumours, is that might be all Horwood O is remembered for.
I see.
Because if the only information we have out there about it is about it being the suicide block, people will only ever think of it as the suicide block and nothing more.
That is the risk. And why not? Why shouldn't it just be the suicide block is the question. This sounds quite ridiculous given that we've spent so long talking about everything that it is. Why not let it capture imagination as it has captured yours?
Well, by all means, I think it will continue to do that whether I speak about it or not.
That's true.
But I want it to be more than that for the sake of history, for the sake of the fact that there were people that spent their lives in there. They spent their university degree in there. They met friends in there. Some people in the Keele stories that Keele has posted on their website fell in love there and ended up having happy lives. And while by all means this rumour does keep interest alive in it, that interest can only go so far and it can mar the actual joy that you got there. Nobody wants to look back at their university history and find a place that they might have spent a lot of time in and valued. They don't want to look back at that and find that it's now just known as the place where people might have killed themselves.
Yeah, no, I imagine that would be quite disheartening, especially if people fell in love there. That's wow. There are so many stories in that building, and you have done incredible work to find them after they've been so elusive. But yeah, I mean, what is the future of Horwood? Where do we go from here?
Well, in terms of the building itself, it's rather a sad future in at least my mind.
I see.
Vice-Chancellor has said the new Vice-Chancellor, I should say, has said that in meetings and in a discussion that I had with him, that he plans to remove the building over summer. he views it as it's difficult from the skyline. It's the first thing that people really see when they go around that area. And he wants to replace it with a green area, which I think by all means is good. I do not want to come off and sound like I want the building to be kept just for my enjoyment of it.
I get that.
But he plans to remove it across summer and replace it with a green area or something like that, just so that it's off the sightline. This isn't the first time that a Vice Chancellor's brought up plans of removing Horwood, though. In around 2021, plans were put forward by 2022 to remove the entire Horwood area around it. As well as the
okay.
as well as the SU, not the SU, the area next to the SU, where construction walls have already been put up.
I see. Okay, what there?
And that was going to be converted into a sort of Keele village, which was going to have both student accommodation and general accommodation for the public. Horwood itself was going to be turned into the new Horwood Tower, which would have homes at the top of it and a penthouse.
What?
These plans did not go ahead, as you can imagine.
A penthouse in student accommodation is very, very interesting.
It is very interesting, and I was very shocked when I found these plans. But they would have kept the regular structure of Horwood, but then just rebuilt it and built on top of it to make it its actual original height of 8 floors.
Okay, fair enough. I admire their thinking. I love that they thought big. But if it's true that they closed Horwood Tower because of management costs, I do question whether they would have the money to do that.
Well, funding's the exact reason it didn't go forward.
Yeah, funnily enough.
Around 2022, the plans were scrapped. The area around there with the building walls was left. And there was never really anything to do with it until the new Vice Chancellor came in and has put forward these plans to remove it. I do hope that if it is removed in this way, I hope that it's done respectfully to the Horwood area. And also, I hope that, at least in my talking about it and things like this, it is not just something that is forgotten.
Absolutely. How would you like to see it removed, out of interest?
Well, in terms of the actual removal itself, I want it to be just as slow of a removal, a careful removal of it. Just because, first of all, with the building having been abandoned so long, we don't exactly know what's left in there.
Yeah, we don't.
As I spoke about A to F in Barnes before, they were closed for asbestos reasons.
Yeah, of
course. With this building being built in the 1950s, even if it was poorly insulated, we do not know what was in there. So I would prefer it to be carefully removed. And with it being done over summer, that's helpful for the Horwood area, but I still want it to be removed in a way that causes as little damage to the area around it.
I would sincerely hope so, because there will still be people living in Horwood long after Horwood is gone. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
But yes, I think minimal destruction would be the ideal solution. Plus, if they want that green area, it would be nice to have some area to make green.
Yeah. In terms of that removal, I have also, for conservation of it, I have contacted the Vice Chancellor about things such as the signs.
Oh, really?
To see where they're going to go, and I've managed to get permission in order to keep hold of one of them for the history of it.
That is really cool. That's really cool.
I
mean, if you've written pieces about it, you certainly deserve the sign. You've done your work. But you have the sign, you have the pieces, you have all of this research. Finally, what makes the block important to you, not just to the people who once lived there or to the community that surround it? What significance does it have on you and your university experience?
Well, in my last year, with a lot of stress going on about writing, it weirdly acted as a place of comfort for me. Having a place that's had so much life, that's still standing despite being abandoned for so long, it almost gave me, as I said, a sense of comfort, a place to go, a place to sit by, and something to fuel inspiration for me to research and write even when I'm struggling, which that's really what makes it important to me. Is not only is it solid, it's still there, but also it's something that has stuck in my mind and, driven me forward.
Of course, inspiration comes from anywhere, and it evidently comes from here. With your writing about Horwood, do you think you'll ever do anything with it?
I hope to. I have a feeling that even as I move off of campus, move away, I will end up thinking about this place because it's existed within my entire third year now, and I don't think something like that is something you just let go of. I'm hoping to get one of my poems about it published if I can, and it's inspired me to write more things about the abandoned things on the university campus, which I think it's a good starting point for me, I think. I hope to get more stuff like that written, almost as you said, to preserve the history of this university where other things can't.
Absolutely. It's always great to pay homage to where you've come from and to abandon things in general, I suppose, giving a little love to the things that people might walk past. So in your writing and in all of the work you've done, what is your favourite thing that you found about Horwood?
That is a difficult one because there's so much about it that I found interesting. But
you can have multiple things. That's okay.
I think it is the sightline of it. Being able to look up at it, see the furniture that is left in there, the mirrors reflecting the world outside, just sitting there. That is probably my favourite thing about it. The fact that it is almost an image of the past that will stick in my mind even if it doesn't stick around.
That is a lovely sentiment, actually. That is why you are a writer. You come up with things like that. Is there anything else in particular, or is it just the mystery of what's been left behind?
The mystery aspect of it also does jump out at me. The mythos of it, even if I do struggle against the rumours, that the fact that it has a mythos, the fact that it has a legacy, a past, that very much is one of my favourite things as well, because there's not a lot of buildings that are quite like it, both physically, but also you don't find people talking about the mystery of Barn Z, for example.
Oh, I wonder why.
And even other abandoned buildings on campus, for example, the Lindsay accommodation block.
Oh, yeah, no, abandoned Lindsay is a strange place.
It's a strange place, but there's not many rumours about it apart from it existing. Whereas Horwood O has this talk about it. Not much, I'll admit, but it is still talk about it.
That's very, very fair. I mean, abandoned Lindsay is quite tucked out of the way, but Horwood O it's right there as you come into the university. You just have to turn left, I believe it is, and you're looking at it.
Yeah, which I suppose is why the Vice-Chancellor spoke about it being in the sightline.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not in the sightline anywhere else, weirdly enough. If you live on Horwood, you can't see it, really.
If you live anywhere on campus, weirdly, you can't see it because it seems to have been almost blocked in by trees. Whether that's an intentional choice or not, I don't know. But that is certainly very interesting about it. The fact you have to get up close to properly see it.
Nonetheless, it's a wonderful place. And perhaps in the future, we won't have rumours about Horwood O Block. We'll just have rumours about the Horwood Block that doesn't seem to exist because none of the signs have updated in a long time.
To be fair, slightly going away from the topic of Horwood O for a second, there is actually already an existing Horwood block that kind of disappeared.
Oh.
I found about this on the Keele History Instagram page where I found some of my information about Horwood O.
Yeah.
But apparently the sign for Horwood P, I believe, used to be Horwood Q, and it was changed for no apparent reason.
Interesting. The mysteries of Horwood will live on long after that block goes, I suppose. before we go, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. It's been fantastic to learn about Horwood. It's such a curious building, and I'm sure people have had many, many questions about it over time. But before we go, is there anything you would like to say before we leave, or promote, or show off, or read?
I have one of my poems with me if you would like to hear it.
I would love to hear it. Please do.
This poem's called Kenophilia, which means the love of abandoned places. And it's called Kenophilia, Thoughts on Horwood Block. A grand and corroded visualized cacophony, a brick-built cenotaph for the academic lives of students who have long since forgotten the flat where they once spent days. Light reflects off of clouded, glassy windows, allowing view to mirrors stuck on walls that wait to finally have purpose once more. From around the Horwood halls I hear cries and cheers of life from blocks that were not left to rot like this one was all those many years ago. Sometimes I sit and stare up in awe of the block as I imagine how it earned its name. Even while left long alone, it still looms and seems to watch from a height entirely unmatched. From a distance, though, it's easy to ignore, and people pretend it's not there. The trees cover it like a secret that the campus is trying to hide. My beautiful brutalist block full of soul, do your halls feel bare and alone? Filled with memories of loves and dreams, but nobody remembers what you used to be. Only I seem to wish the university wouldn't let you go.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much for, listening to me talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Any time. I have shivers. That was amazing. I really look forward to seeing where you go with Horwood and what you produce with it. I think you have something fantastic there, and I wish you absolutely all the best. And I think on that lovely, lovely note from our dear Horwood historian, that is our time up on my final episode. Thank you so much for listening, and if you think you know someone who'd be great to feature on future episodes, email myself or the team at the Keele Podcast Studio. Manager positions at the studio will be reopened next year, so contact Tim Cantfer if you'd like to get involved. I hope you'll join us again soon, but until then, that is all from us. Goodbye!